guys, it's Webby. Thanks for joining me again today for another video. Today we're going to be looking at the brand new 2020 Volkswagen T-Cross, the latest small SUV to hit the market. I'll show you around the car, give you a bit of a guided tour, show you what's standard, what's optional. We'll go for a little drive and see what it's like to drive, and I'll give my thoughts at the end and see what I think to the car. So without further ado, let's get started. So just before we get started, I just want to say a big thank you to Berwick Volkswagen for lending me the car for the day, so we can have a review of the new T-Cross. So here we are on the outside of the T-Cross. This particular version has got the R-Line package on it as well. So it's got more of a sport styling kit to the bodywork, plus also these really nice looking 18-inch alloy wheels. So it looks actually quite a chunky looking little car. But if you look at it, you can actually see it is very Volkswagen, particularly from the front. You could easily mistake that for something like a Tiguan, because it's got that recognisable sort of front to the car. But it is it's very stylish looking thing. Standard equipment on these is very impressive as well. Front and rear parking sensors, side sensors for active park assist. You've got all the safety bits and pieces on them as well, the autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping aid. It's even got adaptive cruise control as standard as well, which on a small car like this you really wouldn't expect to get. Coming to the back of the car, again quite stylish looking. LED tail lights at the back, which look really nice. I love the way they're putting the T-Cross badge right in the middle of the boot lid there. It seems to be quite a fashionable thing that manufacturers are doing these days. But it's certainly quite a premium looking little car. You wouldn't look at this and think it was the cheapest car that, it's certainly the SUV range that Volkswagen make. Other nice things that you get as standard, keyless entry, push button start on all models. So they're really not sort of skimping and making you pay more just to get the top model. They're putting a load of stuff on the standard, which I think is pretty good actually. Often with German manufacturers, everything's an extra. But yeah, Volkswagen have actually decided to put a load of stuff on standard. We'll hop on the inside, should I say, and show you around, what the dashboard is like, what the interior is like. But before we do that, I'll just show you under the engine and show you what's powering this little thing. So here under the bonnet then, we've got a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, which is good for 85 kilowatt and 200 newton meters of torque, which is actually quite a lot of torque for a small little 1 litre engine. And that's attached to an exclusive 7-speed auto, as in you can't get it in a manual. There's a heap of space under there. So maybe one day they'll put something big under there, and maybe the 1.5 that comes out the Golf would give it a bit more grunt, or maybe even a 2 litre, which would be an absolute animal. So if we now step inside the car, like I say, this one's got the R-Line package on it as well. But you can see nice clear dashboard there. And so this has got the R-Line sport seats, which are super comfortable. It's quite nice. It's got this sort of leather on the outside, suede at the top, and then cloth in the middle. Really comfortable and very nice to sit in. Good range of adjustment as well. So looking at the dash, again being the R-Line model, you've got this nice leather steering wheel, which is flat bottomed, perforated leather around the section sort of where you hold the steering wheel. So it's very nice to sort of steer with. An armrest there in the middle, coming around gear stick, and then just above that you've got the controls for the air conditioning and the climate control. A couple of USB ports in there, and then just underneath that there's actually a wireless charging pad as well. So it's got all bases covered. So this one has also got the digital dashboard as well, and it's also got an upgraded sound system, which is another package that you can sort of choose to have as an option. So the stop start button is just down there for the engine. So if we just push the button, just bring it into life. So you've got the nice 8-inch sat-nav screen there with the digital display there as well. Buttons on the steering wheel, obviously that will let you control things like the adaptive cruise control on this side of the car, and then this side does all the display in front of you to choose what you want to look at and set up all your different settings. Apologies if it's a bit bright, it's quite a sunny day today. But yeah, I can say all this, the sat nav is all touchscreen. If you've been in a Volkswagen recently, you'll recognise all that. That's all very sort of familiar. I can say it's got satellite navigation, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto as well. So you literally just push buttons. There's all like your main menus. So yeah, really sort of simple system to use. Coming down here, you've got some more buttons as well. Like I say, this is all your climate control, so that's very sort of user friendly. That one there is for the active park assist, so that's the system where the car actually parks itself. Amazing that it's standard on a small car like this. You can deactivate your parking sensors. You've got the button there to turn off the stop start system for the car, something I always do personally myself. But yeah, when you look around it, it's such a nice sort of place to be. I'm not so sure about this kind of, I don't know what it's meant to be, like a hologram sort of effect, sort of on the dash there. Not sure too how well that comes out in camera. Maybe a gloss sort of piano black would have been quite nice, but I don't know, maybe that's considered old-fashioned now. But yeah, it's not too bad. Interior quality, as you look around, obviously you can see it's a really nice place to be. The only place I've really sort of found some sort of scratchy plastics, a little bit there on the top of the door. You know, some of the panels here are a little bit sort of cheaper plastics. But you know, it doesn't really matter in positions like that, because I don't know, it's just there to sort of look good, isn't it? You know, you've still got a leather sort of armrest down here, which is quite nice. But the overall feel and look of the dashboard is typically Germanic, is really nice. It's just a very nice place to be. So I'm going to adjust my seat now, then I'm going to go and sit in the back and show you how much space I've actually got in the back of the car. So coming into the back of the T-Cross, it's actually very much similar to the front. You've got the same seating material, so it feels, you know, sort of quite premium back here. There's plenty of leg room. You can actually get your feet under the driver's seat as well, which is always nice. You can stretch your legs out. The plastics on the doors, again, carry through from the front, so they're a little bit cheaper. But you know, it's not the end of the world. It would be nice if we had some air vents just down here in the middle for rear passengers, but being a fairly small car, you know, the air conditioning will filter through to the back from the front of the car. We have got a couple of USB points down here as well, which are all important for kids playing on iPads and charging phones and that type of thing. But generally, yeah, it's a nice place to be. Decent amount of headroom. We've got decent lighting at the top here as well. So you don't feel claustrophobic or cramped in the back, which is important, particularly in quite a small car. Would have been nice to maybe have an armrest here in the centre. That would have been quite nice. So if you just got two people, you know, you've got somewhere to either rest your arm or have a built-in cup holder. That would have been quite nice. But yeah, all the same, you know, it's a nice place to be. Now, coming to the back of the car, it's actually got quite a good sized boot. So you can see we've got a really good sized boot in here. You can extend that with obviously the 60/40 split fold rear seats, which have also got the tether points for the child seats there as well. If we come to under the boot floor, so you've actually got a full-size spare wheel under there, which is quite a rare thing these days. A lot of cars seem to be going for these space saver kits or even no wheels at all. Because of the upgraded audio system in this car, that looks like an amplifier, so that does rob you a bit of boot space. But you know, it's still pretty decent for a small car. You can get plenty of stuff in there. Certainly the shopping or kids' bikes or what have you. So yeah, I don't think you miss out too much. So now we're inside the T-Cross and actually driving along. It feels very Volkswagen, which is, you know, a very obvious thing to say. But it doesn't feel like a small SUV, it doesn't feel like a cheap car, despite some of the plastics that I mentioned earlier. But it feels like a grown-up little car, which is, you know, testament to how well they've made this thing. You know, it doesn't feel like a cheaper version of anything. You know, just the feel inside the car, it feels like a Volkswagen should, if that makes sense. You don't get the impression they've really cut too many corners. They still want you to feel like you've bought a Volkswagen. You know, the nice material on the seats, the driving position. You know, this car having the upgrade package with the full digital dashboard. You know, you don't feel like you've bought the bottom of the range, the smallest SUV. You know, this is technology that comes down from some of their bigger cars. It's you know, it's in the Golf, it's in the Polo, it's in the Tiguan, it's in the Touareg. It's yeah, it feels like a proper little German car. You know, it's fantastic, really. To think they put all this technology into such a small car. It's normally stuff that's only reserved for the big stuff. And it steers really well as well. You know, the steering's sort of nicely weighted, it's quite direct. It's not too sort of floaty around the corners, it's not too sort of soft and rolls too much. It does have a nice sort of feel about it, which is really good. Sat-nav screen's really nice as well. It's the same system or similar system that I used when I made a video of the Golf R recently. The Golf R did have the full touch screen and the gesture control and that type of stuff. So this is one step down from that, but the system is still really good. You know, you've got built-in sat-nav, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So you've got as much as you need, really. So that little 1 litre engine does get up and go quite well. It's got a 7-speed dual clutch, as I mentioned earlier. But I think it's actually really well suited. The low down torque of the car obviously helps sort of round town driving, that type of thing. But just going around some twisty country roads here as well, it doesn't feel like it's lacking. Obviously that would be a little bit different, you know, when you get to the higher speeds on the freeway, that type of thing. But just doing these sort of local journeys, you know, it's a really good car to drive. I really do like it. It will be interesting to see how that Ford Puma that I mentioned earlier compares to this when we see it later in the year. Because I'm going to be selling the Puma, so it's good to know what your competition's like. So yeah, it will be interesting to compare the two. Maybe when the Puma does arrive, I might be able to do a back-to-back video, like a test of both cars, and you know, compare the two. I think that'd be quite an interesting, you know, an interesting thing to do. One thing you do notice inside this car is how quiet it is. Again, it's typical sort of German engineering, I suppose. They've put a good amount of sound deadening into the car. So yeah, it gets up to speed pretty well. It will hold on to the gears quite well if you put your foot down a bit harder in the accelerator. So it's not afraid to you know, drop a couple of gears and get going, which is nice. These R-line seats are really nice. So like a sports seat, very comfortable. Give you a bit of nice lateral support when you go around the corners. But they're not hard, not over firm, which sometimes German cars can be a bit guilty of. But they're really comfortable. The driving position is really nice as well. It's not one of these where your feet are at a different angle to the rest of your body. And it's all kind of nice in a straight line type of thing. Obviously, not being a full-size SUV, you don't sit too high, but you do get good visibility going forward. You know, you can see probably, you know, 2 or 3 cars in front, so you know what's going on down the road. But yeah, it just feels a nice place to be. So all your controls are sort of nicely laid out. It's all easy to see whilst you're driving. There's not too many buttons on the dash that will confuse you or, you know, take your eye off the road for too long. I think it would be quite nice to have a sunroof in here, where you've got a darker headlining with the R-Line package. It feels quite dark in here, although it's not too bad because there's quite a lot of glass all around the car. But a sunroof would just add it and make it a little bit lighter in here, I think. So that would be quite a nice addition to have. But even though we're sitting on these bigger alloy wheels, the ride's not uncomfortable. Sometimes when you get a sports model or a sport pack on a car, all of a sudden the ride gets a little bit uncomfortable. It's definitely not the case with the T-Cross. I found some more twisty roads, a little bit twisted than the ones I was on a minute ago. And you can actually have quite a lot of fun with this actually. It's whether the R-Line pack helps this go around corners a bit better. I guess in the wider alloy wheels will definitely give you a bit more grip. But it actually feels quite fun. You don't often say that about SUVs until you get something with a V8 engine. But yeah, it's actually really good fun. The steering's really well weighted, which is a bit of a Volkswagen thing, to be fair. Let's put it in sport mode on the gearbox and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, that definitely makes a difference putting it in sport mode. The throttle response is much sharper. Yeah, that's actually, it is fun. It's a fun little car. As much as this is obviously seen as a bit of a city car, I actually reckon it would cope perfectly well with going on the freeway. Because once you're cruising speeds on the freeway, it will be absolutely fine. So the seats are super comfortable, so you're not going to get out at the end of a long journey and backache or anything like that. I suppose the big question with the T-Cross though is whether you would buy this over the equivalent Polo, because it's basically a Polo inside. But yeah, I don't know, if you wanted a higher driving position, a bit more space inside the cabin, a bit more leg and headroom, then I guess you would. So that's my take on the Volkswagen T-Cross. It's a fantastic little car. I think it's really good, especially when you put a gearbox in sports mode. It's almost like a little warm hatchback. It's not a hot hatch, but it's like a warm hatch. I've got to say again, a big thanks to the guys at Berwick Volkswagen for lending me the car. Been super impressed with it. Like I say, it'd be interesting to see how it compares to the Ford Puma when that comes out later this year. Yeah, it'd be a good comparison, I think. So thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've certainly enjoyed making it. If you've enjoyed it, give it a like. If you want to find out when the next video goes live, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. So with all that said and done, I'll see you in the next one.